Hi, welcome. This is Old Mona Art Museum, a one-person online museum that shares stories of Korean art and culture. To begin, today I'd like to talk about the film that stayed with me the longest as I look back on the year, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. Yes, it's K-Pop Demon Hunters, known in Korea as Kedeheon. As Korean curator living abroad, I viewed this work simultaneously from both inside and outside perspectives of Korea. What surprised me was how deeply non-Koreans connected to it, even without knowing much about Korea. To me, that happens because Korean details are carried in a way that becomes universal emotion. I will share my personal thoughts, focusing on 3 points that resonate with me the most. First, the heroes are not perfect, and that's why they feel real. Western heroes, whatever superheroes or historical figures, are mostly men who wins and conquer through strength. Even Wonder Woman, it's a woman heroes, but still, Wonder Woman traditionally centers on masculine strength. Our Huntrix, however, uses softer power, persuading and calming through song, and they use force only when it's truly necessary. In this way, Korean heroes, like Huntrix, take a somewhat different form. They endure and they rise again. Our Huntrix as well, on stage, they shine, but inside, they shake. They have a dark side, they get scared, they messed up, and they doubt themselves. We saw a few scenes like that. And still, they stand up again and keep going. Actually, that part stayed with me the most in my daily life because even when I don't want to, I still have to keep going, and I've needed that steady kind of endurance. Sometimes you have to look strong even you're not. So keep going feels more truthful than be perfect. Because no one is perfect, right? There's also a Korean emotional background behind that. Korea went through a very hard period in modern history. Colonization, war, and times of controlled voices like dictatorship. So many Korean stories value endurance and rebuilding, not just winning. K-pop Demon Hunters turns that into a pop story you can feel, you can easily understand, even without the Korean difficult history. And there's one symbol, actually a color, that quietly holds that idea. It's my favorite color as well, purple. You can see purple in Rumi's hair. You can also see purple tints in Huntrix's bright outfit at the end. Even the overall look back of the animation has a soft purple tone throughout. Purple only exists when two opposing colors, red and blue, are blended together. Red feels hot and impulsive. It hits fast, like a feeling in your body. Blue feels cold and calm. It goes deep, like a thought in your mind. So purple is a color that only appears when two words, two emotions, two identities collide. Instead of being torn between them, Rumi looks like someone who carries that balance of both worlds in her body as purple. Not a single perfect color, a color that kept enduring and mixing again and again until it finally found its own unique beauty and charm. So it feels like a message to me. I don't have to be one perfect thing to be real. And second, the movie shows K-pop not just as a show, but as something made together. In Korea, that group's sing-along is called Daechang. Dae means a group and Chang means to sing. It simply means everyone singing with one voice. What I relate it to is the feeling it creates. Wow, it's really amazing. When I was young, I used to go to the concert because of this feeling. It's very contagious and it's very addictive. When Daechang begins, the sense of reality suddenly disappears. Space and time lose their meaning. You actually forget where you are. And the voices of the singer and the audience merge into just one, spreading like single beautiful curtain. Exactly like Homun. For a moment, the feeling of being alone in this harsh and cold world just fade away. You feel held by sound, rhythm, and the people around you. It becomes one wave, and people suddenly feel their chests tighten. Didn't you feel that rush of emotion while watching Huntrix perform? Like you were really part of it? If you did, then you had that experience too. And that's probably one of the reasons you like this film so much. Not because it's perfect, but because it's shared. It can sound like you're not alone. From the singer's side, it's like saying, even if we can't be with you in person, our voices are still with you. That really matters because it gently comforts people today, like me, like us, who live separately and often feel lonely. And this together feeling connects to an old Korean tradition called 굿. 굿 is a traditional Korean communal ritual where singing and dancing comfort wandering spirits and guide them to the afterlife. But its deeper purpose is to wash away the worries and grief of the living by opening a path through emotion. The person who leads it is called a mudang, a performer, also a guide who helps people cross from fear into relief. In that sense, Kud was a village festival, and Mudang's house was a concert hall and a kind of cleansing rite that let people rinse off their worries together. So it doesn't feel strange that the first Huntrix were like Mudang, healing people through song and performance and carrying that original value forward to the present. I also found myself thinking this could be another layer of film. The demons in K-Pop Demon Hunters may not be just monsters, but visual forms of human worries, anxiety, and stress. Historically, psychological distress that was hard to explain were sometimes described or understood as seeing spirits. In that context, the story seems to externalize inner darkness as demons and then shows in a visible way how music and being sing together can soothe and heal it. Third, last, Kedeheon, K-Pop Demon Hunters presents Korean traditions as they are, without reshaping them to suit Western tastes. So perhaps that's why it feels even more new and compelling to you. If you're new to Korea, Seoul can look only modern, fast, trendy, and global. But K-Pop Demon Hunters places traditional symbols right at center. A tiger that feels like it stepped out of the traditional Korean painting, and Mountain Namsan not as a postcard, but as a real landmark with presence. And there is a painting when Huntrix performs Golden. It's called 1월 오봉도. This painting was a folding screen painting of the sun, the moon, and 5 mountains. It was placed behind the king's throne in the Joseon dynasty, like a symbolic backdrop of the royal seat. The Joseon Dynasty was a Korean kingdom that ruled from 1392 to 1910. The sun and moon suggest yin and yang, and the mountains and waters suggest the land and the world being held in balance and order. For you, as someone who's not Korean, it can feel fresh because it's not Korea explained, it's Korean shown. And for Koreans like me, it can feel like meeting something we didn't know we missed. So suddenly when I see kimbap, 컵라면, all these tigers, suddenly I was like, wow, we had this kind of beautiful heritage. It felt really amazing because Korea had to rebuild very quickly after colonization and war. And in the process, many older traditions and places were replaced by just a new thing. With the global rise of Korean culture, efforts to preserve what remains have grown only in recent years. In that sense, this movement also exists thanks to people like you who takes an interest in Korea. So when the film brings these traditional symbols back, we can feel very precious. That contrast is what makes Seoul unique. It can look like a trendy modern city, and then suddenly you run into tradition. The movie captures that mix in an easy, emotional way, so it becomes a doorway for non-Koreans and a memory trigger for Koreans. Wow, thank you for listening this far. You're amazing. Now, let's bring it together. So far, I've talked about 3 points that may have moved you in K-Pop Demon Hunters. Kedeheon connects because it tells a story about people who accept their imperfections, value their own color, shape it with care, and keep moving forward. It also resonates because it shows how voices coming together can make someone feel less alone. And finally, it stands out for presenting Korean tradition confidently just as it is. In the end, it doesn't ask you to understand Korea first, it makes you feel first. And when you feel it, you realize someone else has lived this feeling too. Well, that's everything I prepared for today. I really hope it helped you understand K-pop Demon Hunters and Korea at least a little more. If you enjoyed this story, please subscribe and like, and I will come back with more stories about K-art, K-movies, K-dramas, generally K-visual culture. This was Omuna Art Museum. Wherever you are, I hope you have a warm and peaceful end of the year. And thank you so much for listening. See you in the next video. Bye bye.